Welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinner Energy Podcast. Hello, friends. Today we are talking about how to do all the things in just 10 hours a week. Inside Coach School, we talk about a 10-hour work week and scaling your business in just 10 hours a week. And so in today's episode, I'm going to talk to you guys more about what this looks like, why 10 hours is the magical metric, and what I do to scale my business in 10 hours a week, the method that I teach, and everything that you need to know to implement it as well. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about a 10-hour work week and scaling all at the same time. And so today we will be covering all of that. But before we get into today's episode, there are two reminders I need to give you. The first is that on January 27th through the 29th, I'm hosting a $47 workshop. And inside this workshop, I am going to be breaking down the process that I teach inside of Coach School, which is the Life First method to scaling to six figures. The Life First method is all about exactly what it sounds like, putting your life first, building a business around your life. I talk about the 10-hour work week, taking Fridays off, and simple yet transparent sales. Honestly, this workshop's probably not for coaches who are new. We're going to be talking about more advanced concepts. You've probably already been in business as a coach for quite some time, or you've been in business quite some time as a service provider. You're looking to move into coaching with a scalable offer. You have to already have a scalable offer essentially, but you're looking to scale your coaching business with high ticket. So if you've already been in business for some time, but maybe you're stuck in that cycle of what feels like you're taking two steps forward and one step back, maybe it feels unsustainable or unclear, or you feel maybe a little disconnected from that big vision that you have, this will be the workshop for you. Again, it's 3 days long, January 27th through the 29th. It's $47. And this is all about running a business on your terms, a 10-hour work week, taking Fridays off or whatever that magical day is for you, having an aligned business that aligns with your future vision of freedom and simplicity, scaling to six figures with an aligned, simple business model, and relying on authentic and transparent sales that actually feel really good. Marketing made easy, no longer spending all your time in all the places, chasing leads, sales, and one-to-one clients. For a lot of my coaches that are working on six figures or scaling simply, one of the big pieces where they get stuck is either their high ticket offer is one-to-one or it's some kind of done for you service. So they're stuck in trading lots of time for money and then they can't get more time back in their day. So there's that misalignment there, or they're trying to be in all the places. You're probably just spending your time somewhere in your business in the wrong area. And if we were to be able to clean that up and create more alignment, scaling would be a lot easier. So in 3 days, we're going to cover building a business around the life you want, simply scaling with an aligned offer suite, and then transparent high ticket sales. That's January 27th through the 29th. It's $47 for all 3 days. The link is below. Get your ticket. You're going to want to be in that room. That is also the same week that we're going to kick off applications for the Coach School. Applications will open a couple days before that. If you're on the wait list, you'll get to apply early and you'll have 3 days to apply and join. So waitlist not only gets early access to apply and join, but they also get exclusive bonuses. So if you're not on the wait list, get on the wait list now. If you're not on the wait list, we will open applications again January 27th through February 5th. So you have about, I think it's like 9 days to get your application in. And then after that, we'll close applications completely and we'll be sending out our letters of either acceptance or denial. If you're accepted, you have 48 hours to lock in your spot. As soon as we shut down enrollment and all of that is done until the next round, we will kick off Coach School with that group with our all-day retreat where I'm teaching the entire curriculum live, and then we'll coach together for the next 12 months to build your scalable business. So, action plan, listen to this episode, of course. Go down to the link below, get your workshop ticket, 3 days for January 27th through the 29th to build your life first six-figure business, and then apply or get on the wait list and then apply for the Coach School. Okay, let's get into today's episode where I'm going to talk to you about the 10-hour work week. So many of you are like, Tay, this is not possible. I do not believe you. There's no way. And I'm here to tell you that when you work on the right things, it only takes 10 hours. Now, this will come once you've built in a few things in your business, which we'll teach you in Coach School. One of those being clarity. It's really, really important that you are clear, crystal clear on your goals, on the business model, on what you should be working on what you shouldn't be working on what you should stop doing altogether, what maybe needs outsourced or what needs automated. And those 10 hours will be work. Work. Now, I use the 10-hour work week method because that was what I did for the last 2 years in my business. 1 year while I was pregnant and 1 year while I was having and raising a baby. 10 hours was kind of all I had to give. My husband has a full-time 9 to 5, which I have tried to get him to quit for years and he won't. And he travels a lot for work. So I was full-time primary momming to 2 children who are at home. My oldest is in like an online private school, but she's still home with me. And then my youngest is a toddler. So I really only had 10 hours to give my business. And that was why 10 hours was perfect for me. Now, inside coach school, some people it is 10 hours and some people it's 12, some people it's 15, some people it's 20 hours. They're like, I want to work. I love working. 20 hours is the magical number for me. And the point of the 10-hour work week is what works for you? What feels like alignment to you? Can you create a business model that works only on 10 hours? And if you want to give more, you give more. And if you don't have more to give, you simply just don't, right? And that is what we use as the metric. It's going to be based around the life that you want to live, the business that you want to build. But for me, it's the 10-hour work week method. Now, some weeks it's more and some weeks it's less. It literally depends on a few things. Number one, my life first schedule. What is happening in my life with my husband? What is his travel schedule? What is his work schedule? What are the kids' schedules? Do we have sports? Do we have school? Is it breaks? Do we have sick kids? Do we have a travel time coming up? Do we have a trip coming up? All of that will determine the work week. And how I schedule it is the first, second, and third weeks of the month are where I am dedicating to my business, mostly coaching, networking, and podcasting. And then the last week of the month, I either take time off or I spend time in my business. So let's say I need to record content for my social media manager. I need to record podcast episodes. I need to write emails. I need to put together a month plan for the team. Any of the admin stuff or content stuff that needs done, I do it the last week of the month. And the reason being is because I have no coaching calls that week. I do 0 coaching calls that week, so that I can spend that week intentionally just on my business without needing to be like in client mode, in coach mode, right? I get to be in business owner mode during that week. So that week would also be the time that maybe I would take a trip. Like if I'm like, let's plan a trip, it would be during that dead week because I don't have coaching calls. So I don't need someone to fill in. I don't need to tell students like, hey, I'm not going to be here. I just simply don't have to coach that week because that's how I've built my business. So week 1 of the month, I'm coaching, and usually I'm coaching 1 to 3 coaching sessions a week, depending. So offer boot camp, we do 2 calls a month. So there's 2 weeks that there's no call for that. The mastermind, which I don't know that will run again. We're running right now, but I'm not sure that we'll run that again. But the mastermind, we meet 3 times a month. And one of those is a mastermind call where the girls mastermind together. And the other 2 are more of like coaching type calls. And then coach school, we meet 4 times a month. So 3 times on Monday and 1 Thursday out of the month. So on any given week, I'm coaching somewhere between, some weeks it's just 1 call, coach school. And then some weeks it's 2 to 3, depending on if I'm doing offer bootcamp, mastermind, coach school, all in the same week. So that is anywhere from 1 to 3 hours a week on calls, right? So let's say 1 to 3 hours a week on calls. And that still gives me 7 to 9 hours left over to do anything else I need to do. So then there's Slack coaching. So every week I'm Slack coaching my students. And I would say that probably ranges anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a week. So 2 to 4, and that's really generous. Like I don't know that I've ever hit a 4-hour Slack because it usually doesn't require that because we meet so much on calls. And I'm really fast with it, right? Like I can voice note or type back really quick. So I can get everyone coached in Slack in a day in less than an hour. And then Mondays and Fridays, I typically don't coach in Mondays I don't coach Slack, Fridays I don't work. So really I would say 2 to 3 hours maybe. So let's say 7 hours if that's like a heavy call week, and then let's take 3 hours off of there for Slack coaching. I still have 4 hours left over. So 4 hours left over could be managing team, talking to my team, doing any other cleanup I need to do in my business, any admin I need to do in my business, any content I need to do, any planning for like upcoming launches. And another thing that we started implementing this uh, last year, quarter four, was to have quarter four be a cleanup. So between October and December, what we're looking at is the whole year. What worked, what didn't work, what should we get rid of, what should we do better at, what should we keep doing, what needs automated, what systems need cleaned up, what team needs cleaned up, like really an overhaul of the whole business. And then taking that time also to then schedule things out for the next year. So before the next year even starts, I know our launches, every single launch, when we're going to do it, how long it is, live events, like the whole year is planned. And then I usually record enough podcast episodes to get me through anywhere from 1 to 3 months at a time. So then I'm only batching podcasts like maybe every quarter, and that I can get that done in a week. So let's say that in quarter one, I take that one last week of the month and I spend a couple hours recording podcast episodes. And then the next month, that week, I'm writing all emails for the quarter, right? Like then we have everything scheduled out for 3 months at a time. So in quarter four last year, I spent time recording, I spent time cleaning up, and I spent time planning for the next year. So I know what's happening every single week, month. So like that in itself, that clarity in itself allows me to work less because I know what to plan for. I know what needs done every time I come in the office, and I still have 4 hours a week left over to do work, right? So if a podcast episode needed recorded, if I needed to be on someone else's podcast, if I'm in a summit, if I am going to something for networking, if I need to write extra emails, I still have 4 hours left over after coaching to do that. Or I could coach more. Like if I'm like, hey, I have extra hours, I'm going to do extra Slack coaching, I could do that. The point is that 10 hours when you're only working on the right things works. Now, I also want to say that in the beginning, when you're building your business, when you're building new offers and you're building systems and you're building onboarding, right? That's going to take up a lot more of your time, but maybe you're not coaching as much because maybe you don't have any clients or maybe you only have a few clients, right? So you're not doing as much work. Now, the other thing is that I do not do one-to-one coaching. I am strictly doing group. So that means I can coach anywhere from 30 to 50 plus people a week and 3 to 7 hours a week because I'm doing a group coaching model. And it's the way that I built my group offers. It's the way that I built offer alignment. So inside Coach School, not only do we help you create that clarity of your own business and your own schedule and your own future, then we help you create an aligned business model. So your offers are in alignment with that schedule. Your offers are in alignment with how much money you want to make. Your offers are in alignment with where you're going and where you're scaling. So for me, I'm not going to add in offers that would take up 3, 5 hours a week when I know that I want a 10-hour work week or I don't want to work on Fridays, right? So one-to-one coaching, probably not something that I would add in because it's going to take up so much of my time that's going to conflict what I built for my vision, right? And then lead generation. So lead generation is a really important part of your business because we need to have leads in order to have sales. So I get leads on autopilot through Pinterest, through SEO, through collaborations. Those are like our three big ones. And what happens is my assistant will sign us up for collaborations. Those are like 2 to 4 a month. Those will bring in anywhere from 100 plus leads per month into my email list. And then I'm spending time emailing and podcasting to get them warmed up. And then my Pinterest manager schedules pins, and inside Coach School, we give you a training from her plus other trainings for Pinterest on how to do it yourself. And then that brings in leads, and then SEO brings in leads. And so those are run on autopilot. So every single month, I'm generating at least 100 organic leads, but I'm not putting out any work or effort. The only effort that I did have to put out in the beginning of that was to create some kind of low ticket offer or freebie so that I can convert those leads into my email list, right? And then I have to spend time nurturing and marketing. So that would be time that I spend, like I told you, that last week of the month, podcasting, emailing, writing content, or hosting live events or live workshops where I'm going to warm up my audience that has now come in through Pinterest or collaborations, and then sales, creating a systemized sales process. So In coach school, a lot of you are probably doing consults. We're going to move away from consults and sell through content, sell through emails, sell through DMs, sell through conversations, sell through authority and brand building, and get away from a lot of consults. So if you're not yet making 30 to 50K years, you're probably still doing consults, which is normal. It's what you should be doing. I think I did consults all the way up to like 70K. And I was like, why wouldn't I just do a consult? It takes me 30 minutes and I almost always close a consult. It's a really easy yes for me. But then I moved away from that because when you get into scaling, you can't do as many consults, right? So then we would turn those into live events. So then I can host a live event. It's 1 to 3 days long. I can have 50 to 150 people sign up, 150 people watching me live, learning from me live is just as good, if not better, than a consult. On a consult, I'm not going to coach you. On a consult, I'm not going to sit there for hours on end and teach you my framework. I'm going to give you 30 minutes to ask questions. We're going to overcome objections and help you come to a decision. And so we're going to move away from that model, which again gives you more time back in your day. Another thing that I've had to implement recently, which has been a game changer, because a lot of you ask, like, how do you run a business and have kids at home with you? Like, how do you do it? And I will say I spent the last 20 months, because my toddler is 20 months, figuring this out because I had one and then she was older and then she was in school like most of the day with her teacher. And because even though she's online, she's still with a teacher, she's with students. And she's like, Mom, get out of here. Mom, go away. So that part was easier because I had like a school schedule to work around, where with now implementing a toddler into the mix, it's a little different. Now it takes one nap a day. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So that's like a gap where I can depend on, she's probably going to wake up between 6 and 7. So if I get up before that, that's free time to work. That nap time between 12 and 2, she's going to nap. So that's any like day I can work at that period, which I usually schedule meetings. And then my husband usually gets home between 2 and 4 p.m. And then he will take them down to the gym and I can work at that period of time because I don't like to work when they go to bed. That's like my non-negotiable. I don't want to do that. My husband's home. We spend intentional time together. And plus by that time of night, I'm an early morning person. Like my brain is mush. I have no energy. I have no space for work at that point. And so I have implemented recently where my husband and I sit down on Sundays and we go through his entire schedule. We go through my schedule. We go through who's getting up in the morning with the baby, who's going to take the morning shift, who's going to take it afternoon or the night shift with the kids. And then we also go through like the entire week, like who's going to be on dishes this week, who's going to do this week, right? Like who's going to focus on the house or laundry. And if his schedule has more time in it, I get more time in my week. And if his schedule, he's traveling or he has to work more, I'm more in mom mode versus work mode. And then I will schedule my business around that. Another thing too is like I put really big things on the calendar ahead of time. So I'm like, hey, I'm teaching an all-day retreat. I need you off this day, like every single quarter. These are the days I need you to take off work or be off work because I have to teach this all day workshop. Like those are my days he takes off in advance. And then vice versa. He's like, I'm traveling. This is my schedule, right? So sitting down on Sundays and going through that and having a plan and having a system. Now, again, obviously I have a partner, right? So like I have a husband. That didn't work when I was a single mom. I was really just winging it through early mornings, nap times, and late nights. And then now I've been able to morph it into having a partner and trading off between the two of us. And that is how I've been able to master 10-hour work weeks. And so inside Coach School, we're going to help you break down what are those hours that you're going to work? What is the future vision? And how do we set up and align your schedule for success as you're scaling? One of the things I can tell you, and this was a hard lesson for me, is that when you are scaling to 6 and multi-six figures, you have to learn how to do less. This was really, really hard for me because I always was taught hard work equals success, more work equals success. And then that never panned out. And I was always really burnt out and I was always really tired. And like, I am doing all the work and all the things and all the places and I'm always working and nothing's coming of it. And so it wasn't until I learned it's about doing less, but more strategically. It's about having clarity and doing less and doing, not it is less, right? Less time and less work, but also it's like very strategic about what I do and where I do it and how I do it is what moves the needle. And so for a lot of you, you have to scale back in order to scale forward. So think of it like a bow and arrow. You have to pull the arrow back and then let go and it will sling. But if you don't pull back, it's not going to go very far, right? Think of it too like a car. Like if you're driving your car cross country and you don't ever stop for gas, you never turn the car off, the oil needs change, like you never service the car, it's going to break down. Same goes for you. And so you have to manage and balance the alignment and the clarity of doing less and resting and taking those periods of time. And so creating a schedule that's not only a 10-hour work week, but a schedule where it's like I have to be in full mom mode. And sometimes I do have to blend the two. Like if my husband's like working and I'm like, oh, I also need to work this week. Like sometimes that happens, right? There's no like perfect balance that literally doesn't exist. But if we can come to this realization that some weeks are going to be harder, some weeks are going to be longer, and some weeks are going to be just like full mom mode. That takes me out of like the nitpicking because for so many of you, you don't need more than 10, 15 hours a week. You need to stop nitpicking. You need to stop trying to create logos and pick colors and change your mission and change your website and like do things that don't matter. And if you did less of that and less scrolling, you would be like, wow, I have so much time. I don't even know what to do with myself. That was a big change for me of like, okay, like when I leave the office, like I need to leave it here and I need to do less and let it go and leave it be. And that's ultimately what's going to get me there faster, is like trusting in the alignment and doing the same things over and over and over again. And so in 2025, I want you to think about how can I create a really, really boring business? It's systematized, it's simple, it's scalable, it's really boring. I always know what to do. It's always the same. And I'm doing a lot less and I have so much time on my hands and I'm still making so much money. And that's what I want you to think of is like stop trying to chase like new, exciting, shiny things. And how can you create simple, systematized, scalable. Okay. So do not forget, sign up for the 3-day workshop. Link is below, $47, January 27th through the 29th. Applications for Coach School are going to open until February 5th. Get your application in, get on the wait list, and I will see you guys on the next episode.